Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gio, and every day I teach you why the market moves the way that it does so that you can have confidence in your trades. Today, I want to go over two trade recaps, both on SUI, which actually netted me, I don't know how much this is, maybe 18, 19K. And this $12,098 short position is actually my highest netting trade to date. Okay, so it is my fifth, I believe, 5-digit trade, and it is my highest netting trade. So I want to go over these, but before we begin, I just want to say that in my VIP Discord, in my network called the Nexus, everything that you're about to see, we've been through the whole thing. Okay, so I'm going to go over a lot of concepts in this video, and if you don't understand anything, then don't let that discourage you. Head on over to the Nexus. The link for that is in the description down below. I teach you guys everything that I'm about to go over in this video, and all the information is there. Aside from that, if you like the content, and only if you like the content, please do me a solid and hit the like button. I really appreciate it, and consider subscribing. All right, let's go over this position. So as you can see in the Nexus, 0327, March 27th, Gio says SUI flip zone short. Okay, we're looking for a short position. You can see where my short is. You can see where the targets are, and more importantly, you can see here, like, this looks ridiculous, but it's very much so not ridiculous, because we did make our way all the way down here, and you can see right here, short tool all the way down to 2.20. What actually ended up happening here, when we're from where we were, which was up at 276 or so up here, right, 276-ish, down to 2.20, as you can see right here on the right. Okay, so the trade setup was given, the what to look for was given, and now we're going to go over how we entered it, what we looked for. Okay, so first of all, why was I even looking for shorts in this area? Well, actually, let's hide the P&L so it's out of the way. Why was I looking for shorts in this area? We had a higher time frame point of interest right over here. Okay, and the way that I trade is very simple. I can identify my points of interest. I know where price is likely to reject or bounce off of those points of interest, and then I scalp the local range when I am in those points of interest. Now, full disclosure, in the setup that was given, in the original setup, this idea never actually happened. What I was looking for was a flip zone, which, if you don't know what a flip zone is, in my previous video, I explain it on my previous trade recap. So I'll put the little card thingy, go click that after you watch this video. But we didn't actually get the flip zone, okay? But what did we do? We traded the range, okay? So what was my range at the time that we hit this level? Remember, I look for my high time frame points of interest, and then I already have a directional bias. I'm not looking for longs in resistance. That's foolish. We're not here to be foolish, okay? So when we had this first move to the downside, this is where I stated that we might have a flip zone here, and that I was potentially looking for shorts if we got market structure flips in these what would have been a flip zone. However, that did not happen. Okay, I don't predict if it's going to happen. I just react, and if it happens, then I take it. If it doesn't, then I don't. But this is how we traded the range. Okay, so we're going to delete the high time frame POI box because we know that we're already there, and we're going to delete some of these lines because we know where we are. Then at that point, all we're going to do is we're going to trade the range. And simply put, this was your range. Remember, I'm not looking to long in this range, although you can scalp long from the low of the range and scalp short from the low of the, or from the high of the range. But because I know I'm in a higher time frame point of interest, and I know that I'm targeting potentially down to 2.20, as I indicated in the Nexus way beforehand, I'm going to be focusing on shorts, okay? Because remember, we're not here to be foolish. So what ended up happening? Well, we didn't actually get that flip zone, as we mentioned. However, you can see very, very clearly that you did get an SFP, or a displacement of traders, above that first high. Whenever I'm trading my ranges, you guys hear me say it all the time on this channel. Here's your tap 1, here's your tap 2, here's your tap 3, blah, blah, blah. I'm always looking for a tap 2 as soon as we're forming a range, especially when we are in our higher time frame POIs, okay? How did your zone look coming into that level? What was your return to zone? You had a lot of liquidity that you could easily tackle, and to make matters even worse for the bulls and better for Gio and the Nexus, we had what very clearly appeared to be some form of a distribution range even on the top, okay? So you actually formed a range within here as well, where this was your tap 1, this was your tap 2, and this was your tap 3, and the telltale was right there, because your structure coming into that zone was as follows. And this is small time frame stuff, but this is how I trade it. You had high, you had low, you had high, you had low, you had high, you had low. This was a break internally. We had an internal break here. Internal break, okay? Up, down, up, and then break, okay? That was your first sign. If you wanted to wait for a little bit more follow through, no problem. You could have waited for that entire structure to flip, and then you could have got in on the next supply zone coming out of that level, and that would have netted you a beautiful risk to reward. So we let the Nexus know that we took that trade and where we were targeting to. And I mean, really, it was as simple as that. Like, that sounded very, I mean, I hope it sounded very simple. Again, if you don't know what I just said, it wasn't very long, but it was very concise and to the point. If you don't know what that means and what I said, all the information that you need to know, everything that I just explained is in the Nexus, which is included, or in the Nexus course rather, which is included in your memberships. So it was literally as easy as that. Identify the high time frame POI, play the local range, identify the displaced traders, down you go. The easiest short. Now, a couple things that I want to go over with this trade. Number one, this was my highest trading position ever, $12,000. Okay, I'm very proud of it. However, I did poorly execute this trade. Why? Because when I initially entered, which was literally right here, I'm not even joking, it was right here where I entered a 50,000 SUI position, and then I was leaving for Miami like I told you in the last video. I had full intention on taking profit along the way down just because I knew that I was unable to watch while I was in Miami. And I opened actually originally like a 50,016 position, and I wanted to close the 16 because it's just like an ugly number, and I accidentally closed the entire position somewhere around, actually I closed it on the exact low. I closed it right here. I closed the whole position for a net of $3,000. Okay, that's not including the 12,000 that I just showed you. So I accidentally closed it, and I was like, damn, like that's not a good idea. It's not good that I closed it. I want to get back into the position, blah, blah, blah. So because I closed it somewhere around here, I decided that I wanted to get back in. But like I said, I was going to Miami. I was unable to watch it. It was going to be, later in the night soon. And like this was a 3 a.m. kind of move, right? So I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. It was either here or here. I don't remember. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. So I accidentally closed the position, and I had to start scaling in slowly because I knew where price was going to go, but I wasn't able to watch it. I had a flight in the morning, all that. So I ended up getting back in somewhere along the way. I got in, and when I got back in, the worst it got was like minus $800 or something. Fine, I absorbed it. But I didn't hammer as much as I wanted to. I wasn't in as much of a position as I would have liked to have been. And that second position was the one that actually got me the $12,000. I did take profit. I believe I took about half of the profit out here. I took some profit along as we went lower. And then, of course, I did update the Nexus, and I did let them know in real time that my final take, or not my final take profit right here. See, I was updating them along the whole way, the entire time, while I was in Miami as well. So I never stopped working. But right here, I said it right here. I said, Sui, I will take 50% of my position remaining out at 2.22, which was this low, okay? 2.20 was the low. I, of course, am going to front run that low just by, a couple pennies. And that's exactly what I did. I took out half of my position. I told them that I was thinking about longing Sui, and that I closed out the rest of my right here. See, these are my current positions. I closed the Sui short in full, and they knew that I was looking to long. I longed it, and I told them that I longed it, and they knew everything that I was doing every step of the way. While I can't update you here in real time, I believe we are due for a bounce. Many coins hit very important levels at the same time. I loosely longed ADA and Sui. I can't watch it, but I'm just letting you know. And that's what these positions are right now. So I loosely longed ADA. I loosely longed Sui. This 6.2K is my long, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But first, I want to talk about very quickly why. So this is that position, that 6.7. So I'm down $500 since I started recording this video. That's okay. I want to go over why I was even targeting 2.2. Okay. And this is something that I hope, anyways, that I hammer home well on the channel, because I talk about liquidity all the time, guys, all the time. And what retail will normally see and what retail will normally draw, they're obsessed with their trend lines. They're obsessed with it. So they'll draw this and say, oh yeah, we're at support. Oh my goodness, I'm a genius. I know how to long lines on a chart and, make millions of dollars. Yeah, I don't think it works that way. But anyways, what they do is they'll long something like this, and it evidently will never work out for them, because why does price move? You need to always ask yourself. Remember, I teach you why the market moves the way that it does. You need to always ask yourself, why is price doing this? It's going to be doing one of three things always. It's going to be attacking liquidity, generating liquidity, or rebalancing an imbalance. Well, we had imbalances that needed to be rebalanced, which were down here, right? We had a nice point of interest just under all of these lows. And then let's play count the lows. Ready? You have 1, you have 2, you have 3, you have 4, you have 5, you have 6 lows that remained intact. So retail thinks that this is support because, oh, it bounced off of this 6 times. No, this is not support. This is 6 reasons to come and tackle that liquidity, which is exactly how we shorted. And we got this move, and it happened relatively quickly. 22% to the downside. How could I have shorted that knowing that we were going to go 22% to the downside if I didn't very clearly see the liquidity that resided below? And so that's exactly why we were targeting that level. And that's exactly also why we longed from this zone. I want to show you guys where my entry was for the long, which we're going to talk about now in just a moment. Look at where my entry is, okay? I'm going to go on the 1 minute time frame, so it's very clear, okay? Hold on, let me see it right here. Boom. 1 minute time frame. 2.1921, right? And then it went to 2.182. So I missed it by 1 cent, okay? 1 cent. Now we're going to talk about the long. How did I know that I was going to long here? And I didn't long anything else. Remember, on top of the fact that I was busy in Miami and I wasn't scalping, I was very, very clear on me not longing, and I was very, very clear on me taking profit when price got to 2.2 at the 50% now, and then I took the rest of it out when I decided to go long, okay? So that was the short. And honestly, I'm going to be very clear here. So if I didn't mess up my entry and I didn't have to close the position and whatever, that trade would have netted me, give or take, around $30,000 to $40,000. By the way, I'm upping my size. So on this channel, you're going to start seeing me have bigger wins and bigger losses. We're gonna recap the losses as well. I'm just not really losing much as of late, but knock on wood, hopefully that remains the trend, okay? Not losing. So what now? How did we know to long it? Well, very clearly, right below that liquidity, you had an inducement block, okay? You had a nice order block just below it, and that block had inducement. So there's more reason for that block to hold. You have more confluence in that block. Wonderful. So as soon as we started to get close to this block, okay, you had what appeared to be very clearly a Model 1 accumulation. And as soon as I saw that Model 1 accumulation, I already know, remember, what did I say? I can identify my higher time frame blocks. Then I play the local range that is in those blocks, and I hold them for what the target is. That's the way that I trade, right? So let me give you an example. This current trade that we're in on SUI right at this very moment in time, when I do my high time frame analysis, look at where it's pointing to, okay? This SUI long is pointing to like 3.5. Is it going to make it up there? I don't know. Does it have potential to make it up there? It should actually probably be down here, 3.28. Does it have potential to? Absolutely it does, because I trust my TA. Just like when I did my TA up here and it was pointing down to 2.22 and it was 20% away, and like, you know, you might think that that's foolish. This might look foolish. Look how big of a move this is to the upside. 48% move to the upside, but I'll tell you this, so, like, they happen more often than not. I'm not always right, and I don't claim to be, but I mean, I have to give myself some credit where credit's due. I need to trust my TA, right? So the idea is you start playing the local range, and you know where your high time frame, you know where you're targeting, you know what you're pointing towards, what you're looking at, and then you just take the trade, right? And you scalp it. And if you're entering very aggressively, you may consider taking profit, you know, relatively early to secure the trade. But that's the way that I trade. And so once we had our range, like I mentioned, and we had our Model 1 accumulation, again, remember, if you don't know what that is, I teach you all of that in the Nexus course, which comes included in your membership. So for the link for that is in the description down below. Once I saw that, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. And at the time of us approaching to that zone, I actually entered this one a little bit more aggressively because, as you know, I only missed the low by a cent, and it's only because I was busy in Miami and I couldn't watch it. So I had my alerts go off. I decided to open up a long. I had my stop loss below the block, understanding that this is a very high probability zone. You'll probably get at least something out of it. And in my case, my at least something as of right now is 6.3K. So I'm definitely not complaining about that. And And once we started to get the follow through, I messaged everybody and I said, you know what? I closed the rest of my Sui short. I also longed Cardano because we were getting confluence. Look at Cardano. Where's Cardano pointing to right now? We had a beautiful 4-hour block. We had a beautiful zone, and the whole market hit a zone simultaneously. And then up we went. You know, Ethereum. I'm also long on Ethereum as well. I have this long, so I'm up 1,500, 1,200, 6.3K, and then on I got one more position. Where is it? Right here, 3.5K on ETH. So we're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well right now. And yeah, we hit the zone. I traded the range. I saw the divergences. I took a shot, and now we're here. And I have to trust my TA. So right now, that trade is pointing upwards towards, like I said, 3.2, 3.3. Is it possible? Absolutely. Can things get thrown off? Yes. Why? 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm not always right, and I don't claim to be right, and I'll never always be right. But number 2, tomorrow is when the tariff thing goes live, and we're probably going to be expecting some volatility. So those were my 2 trades, guys. The top one, high time frame POI, SFP the high, displaced traders on the high, and you had a distributive local smaller range at the high. Down she went to attack very easy liquidity, and this didn't even take long. Like, this happened pretty quickly. And then the one on the low was just an inducement order block that also was a result of how many front runs of hitting that block. 6 times, maybe 5-6 times we didn't hit that block when we could have or should have, right? And then now you got your market structure flip. You had your 1, 2, 3 model 1 accumulation, and then now up you go. Okay, so I do think that Sui's looking all right. I don't think it's looking the best right now for my long, and I will consider de-risking. And the only reason I'm considering de-risking is because we have liquidity now here generated, right? You have equal lows here, which they don't necessarily need to run for right now. That's not what I'm saying, but understanding that they could run for that. Once you start to get kind of down here, down towards, let's say 2.3K, or I have 2 zones, right? I got one between 2.33, basically between 2.24 and 2.33. In the event that price does get down here, I'll be giving back like 75% of my profits. I already gave back 5%, right? Then where I could have taken profit, and I should have taken profit up here. This morning when I came back from Miami and I did my 3.5-hour Nexus live stream for everybody coming up with a plan, there was a potential short plan here, but I just didn't want to take the short because, long story short, we're in the discount section across like the whole market. The whole market is, I think, a little bit undervalued right now. And so, if we continue lower, I will look to add to my Sui long, but I'm not really looking to short it right now. And if this ends up being the one that I get the loss on, then it ends up being the one that I take the loss on. But of course, I'm monitoring Bitcoin as well, very carefully. And we do have a short position here on Bitcoin as well. So if I didn't take a short on Bitcoin, I'm not short on anything right now. Again, I'm very well aware of tomorrow's potential volatility, but in the event that Bitcoin confirms this short trade, which it has not done for me quite yet, I do have a beautiful long area for Bitcoin that myself and the Nexus are ready for, and as well I will manage my positions accordingly depending on what happens here. So guys, that's it for Sui. I mean, Sui, I will say this, was put on to me, if that's the right way to say it, from a good friend. You might know him. And it moves like Bitcoin, but it moves a lot higher percentage-wise. So that means a lot more volatility, which means a lot more potential gains, but also means a lot more potential profits, which is why we had to be careful here. Am I upset that I didn't make the 30 or 40K that I would have made if I didn't make that mistake, because I wanted to close out 50,016 and I wanted to close this 16 Sui short? Not really, because I know that over the past few days even, I've been increasing my size, and I'm very confident in my TA, and I'm very confident in my abilities and what I do. I'm very good at what I do, and I'm not saying that to be condescending or cocky, but I've dedicated my life to this game, and I'm good at what I do. I know what I'm looking for. I know my confirmations. I'm a disciplined trader, and now it just comes to putting the size. So am I upset about it? Not at all, because 12,000 is nothing to be upset about. That is a lot of money, and I'll hit that 40K or 30K or 50K or 100K one day, God willing.